Hi, my name is Colette Patriga. Welcome to my Thermomix kitchen. Tonight we're talking about meringue, and one of the things I do love about the TM6 is how beautifully and light and fluffy it makes meringue. So let's talk about some of the essentials, some of the tips that you need to know in order to make a fabulous meringue. So first of all, let's talk about the bowl. So the bowl has got to be clean. It's got to be grease free. So that's why it's always great with your Thermomix to do that pre-clean with a bit of washing up liquid, so it's going to get rid of any grease. So if you're not 100% sure, or if you've had a few fails, that could be your problem. And this bowl I know is nice and clean and grease free, but to make sure, one of the things that I could do is to grab a bit of kitchen paper, pop on there a tiny bit of white vinegar, and then basically rub the bowl with that and the blade with that as well, and make sure underneath the blades are clean, because a little bit of buttercream left over from a previous bake will impact on your meringues for sure. So nice, clean, grease-free bowl, absolutely essential. Now the next thing I want to talk about is eggs. So I've got 8 eggs here, and of course you can halve this recipe. This is going to make a really beautiful big pavlova, or lots of lovely little meringue nests. 8 egg whites. Now these have to be at room temperature. So the quickest way to do that is about half an hour before you start. Take your eggs out, separate them, and then pop your yolks back in the fridge to make some beautiful curds or ice cream with, and then allow your egg whites to come to room temperature. It's always easier to separate your eggs straight from the fridge because the whites have more stability. So, now there are some great reinforcements that you can actually use to help stabilize that egg white. One of those is cream of tartar, and I've got half a teaspoon here, and that's really going to give that stability to them. I've also got here a teaspoon of white vinegar and also a tablespoon of corn flour. And that's now with sugars. I have actually got 270 grams of white caster sugar here, and I love to add a little bit of brown sugar because it gives a little bit of a slight caramelized flavor, which I do love. And I've got about 60 grams of brown sugar. So let's get cooking. So my oven is at 150 degrees fan force, so that's heating up nicely. And what I've got here are my sugars. Remember, 270 grams of white sugar and 60 grams of brown. That's going into the Thermomix. And I'm going to pop that in, and I'm actually going to go now for 15 seconds at speed 9. Okay, so that's just finished. Can you see all this little dust from the sugar? A great little tip that you can use is to get a piece of kitchen paper before you actually use it in your Thermomix. And if you pop that down like that, you won't get that extra sugar dust in your kitchen, which is awesome. So little tip there. So now that this is done, all I need to do is to tip this beautiful now icing sugar. Ooh, look at that, it looks so impressive. I love this feature. So we've gone from sugar to icing sugar, and it's got a little bit of that brown sugar. It's going to have that lovely flavor. So I'm just going to tip this into this bowl. And remember, you can twiddle the bottom knob to actually get that last bit out. So I have my clean, grease-free bowl, and I'm going to pop in my butterfly and my 8 room temperature egg whites. And I'm also going to add in my half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Cream of tartar sounds quite nice, doesn't it? So I'm going to whip these up for 5 minutes at 37 degrees at speed to 3.5. Okay, so those 5 minutes are up. Let's have a look at the first stage of that whipping, which was just the egg whites and the cream of tartar. So here we have a lovely fluffy bowl of meringue. So that is lovely. So we can get on to the next stage. We've got 5 more minutes to go. So this time I'm going to take off the measuring cup, and I am going to go for 5 minutes more at 37 degrees at speed 3. And what I'm going to add to this now is my corn flour. So that's a tablespoon of corn flour and my teaspoon of white vinegar. And now I'm going to start introducing that sugar that we did earlier. Now you do want to go simply a tablespoon at a time. You want to take your time, because if you don't, it's not going to dissolve and you'll start having a meringue that starts weeping. So in that goes. So nice and slowly, just take your time. So I've still got about a quarter of the way through that, but I want to add my flavouring, and I'm going to add in a tablespoon of vanilla extract. There are many flavourings that you can add. Queen do a beautiful range of like passion fruit flavouring, but remember you don't want to put too much in because you'll get that collapsed meringue which you don't want. So continue now with that beautiful sugar. So the second stage of that whipping has now finished. Let's have a little look. Looks beautiful. So there you go. You can actually see those beautiful egg whites. What's it? Voluptuous. What is it?
They're full.
Okay, they're full. So absolutely gorgeous. And you know that little tester. Oh my God, this is going to be scary. Ooh. Yep, so they don't come out. That's a good sign. So you know they're going to be great. So let's look at how we actually get these onto our tray. Now with the meringue, I do like to use greaseproof paper because sometimes the oven mats can have a little bit of residue of grease, etc. on them. I want to keep grease away. So the first thing I always do is grab a plate. So this is if I'm piping big or small. I'd either have ramekins or big ones, and I'm just going to draw a circle, just as a guide. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of that meringue and pop it in each corner of my paper, and that's going to help it to stick down. Excellent, so I can see that circle comfortably, and then all I need to do now is to get, oh my gosh, how good does that meringue look? Get that onto here, and then I'm just going to do a lovely pavlova with this today. Now if you're doing a pavlova, this will take probably about an hour and a half in the oven. I do turn the oven temperature down to 100 degrees. And then what you want to do is once that hour and a half is finished, you want to turn it off and you want to leave it in the oven for at least 4 hours, but preferably overnight. And then the next day, just decorate it. You can stay in the oven as long as you like, really. And don't be tempted to pop in there and have a look at what's going on by opening the door, especially in that first half hour, because you might find it will collapse a fair bit. Alright, so just whizzing that out more or less into that circle shape. Good. And then you can just build up the sides, crush down the centre because you want all that lovely fruit and chantilly cream to decorate the centre. And I always love to do a beautiful coulis with my meringues, and I will do a video and post some recipes for those on my Facebook page. So just whipping up the sides, that's going to be gorgeous. Happy with that. So that will go in the oven, as I said, at 100 degrees for about an hour and a half. Thank you so much for watching today. My name's Colette Patriga. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.